Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Fatherless Sons. My name is LaShawn Wiley, and I am your host, and this is episode 124. On today's episode, under Building Your Empire, we will be talking about why I believe Tesla is about to pop. And under Couch Time, we'll talk about where your line should be. And stick around towards the end so that I can reveal today's episode, Fatherless and Famous, where we like to celebrate someone who has succeeded, even though they grew up in a household without a father figure. So let's go ahead and dive right into this episode and jump right into building your empire, why I believe Tesla will pop. Now, just for context, I've been using Tesla full self-driving since I first bought my Tesla 3 years ago. And that was the first Tesla that I owned. It was a Model 3 Hardware 3 vehicle. And I've been using FSD since then, heavily. And that was back when we were on 11.5 or 6 or something like that. And for context, right now, we have the latest release, which is 14.3.1, which from all of the online reviewers and early testers, they're saying it's really good. And they even said that the summon feature has been improved. I watched a video from, I believe his name is Anton. He's one of the testers that I watch frequently, and I'm subscribed to his channel. You should check him out. But he did a video on how quickly the summon feature is now working on the vehicle, which is great to hear. I love to hear that because I use summons all the time. Now, let's get right into why I think it's going to pop, though. And for me, it's a numbers exercise as to why I believe Tesla stock is now about to pop. So let's talk about the last 6 months. Over the last 6 months, Tesla stock has been sliding, and it's been down around 28%, 24% over the last 6 months prior to the run that we just recently had. Now we just had a run and the stock went up 14% over the last few weeks. So the stock is shooting up. Right now it's trading at around $400 and some change. So it's shot up tremendously over the last few weeks. And even with it shooting up the way it did, the stock is still down around 10% over the last 6 months. And this is not financial advice. You have to make up your own mind on what you decide to do and what's good for you. And for full disclosure, most of my viewers already know that I am heavily invested in Tesla stock. But I'm not saying any of what I'm saying because I want the stock to move or anything like that. I'm not for that. I really, truly believe in the company and what they're doing. That's why I'm mentioning this under the Building Your Empire segment, because I believe this should be in your portfolio somehow if you're really trying to really maximize the ability of growth in your stock portfolio. So for all of my listeners and followers, this is something I've said before on this channel. Tesla is just one of those once-in-a-lifetime companies that you should be involved in. So going back to the stock price, like I said, over the last few days, the stock has shot up because the Iran war looked like it's coming to a close, and the Strait of Hormuz has opened up now, or is kind of open, where ships are able to, traverse through that strait, which is necessary to bring down the price of oil so that people can jump out of oil, and then they're ready to start investing into riskier and just stocks in general. Now it's time to move that money out of those money markets and go into stock. This is, to me, why Tesla has jumped the way it has. And keep in mind, the stock is still down. So I believe it still has a lot of room to run. I believe the 52-week high on Tesla is somewhere close to $490 or so, maybe $495. It's something like that. You can look it up. But it's really high. And when you look at it in that context, it still has a lot of space to run, sitting right now at $400 and some change. Now, I believe the reason it's ready to really pop is because of robotaxi. Robotaxi is about to roll out. Like right now, they're doing a lot of testing, and I've been watching how they've been rolling this out. And some critics are saying, well, it should have rolled out a lot faster by now. It should be all over the place right now in multiple cities, and they should have more than just a few hundred cars, and all of the cars should be driving without a safety driver in the car. So a lot of people are kind of like getting cold feet, wondering if something is wrong. Now, what I believe is happening is Elon wanted to make sure that the car didn't have any type of accidents or incidents or anything. Because if the car goes in reverse and bumps into a stationary object like a pole or a brick wall, it has to be reported, especially if there's a passenger in the car. We do this ourselves all the time, and we don't report it to ourselves. We don't tell on ourselves and call the cop and file a police report. But Tesla has to do this, and Waymo has to do it as well. Now, in the last 30 days from the month of March into the month of April, there was no incidents. And the month before that, I believe there was one. And the month before that, there was probably 4 or 5. And all of them were very low incidents where no one was injured, low miles per hour, no real issues, no real damage, no injuries, or no real significant injuries. The latest report of 0 incidents, and I believe so far in this month, there's also 0 incidents. And that means there's no slow mile per hour touching of poles, brick walls, or anything like that. And I think that's what Elon was trying to do, because any little incident that happens with Tesla, it will be blown up to be like this really big deal, because there's so much Tesla hate and Elon hate out there. I think Elon wanted the robotaxi to perform flawlessly and have little to 0 incidents being reported at all, because he wanted to make sure that he can roll this out strong and roll it out without a safety driver. I believe the last update, the 14.3.1, will give him the ability to do that and roll this out strong. So this is why, one of the main reasons why I believe it's going to pop. And in the background, while he was trying to perfect the driving, he was still hiring people to be part of the fleet and part of the people that would run out to cars and fix the cars and take care of issues if they were to happen in the field. He's hiring people. Tesla is hiring people in multiple states for this already. And he's still fighting for FSD approval in a lot of different countries. Right now, it is approved in 8 different countries. Those countries are the United States, Canada, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, South Korea, China, and the latest addition, the Netherlands and the EU. And in Europe, that's the first country that have FSD approval. Maybe the first of many, but it's the first one. So he's still pushing on that side, trying to get it out there. He's still developing the chip as well. I think AI5 chip was taped out recently, and now it's finalized and should be in production the middle of next year, 2027. But what's needed for full self-driving right now, supervised and unsupervised, is in the AI4 chip is ready to go. I have the AI4 chip in my Model S. I have a video that I posted of me driving in my Model S, and it's only gotten better. So the car performs really well. It drives so intelligently. And this is the last point that I want to make about why I think the stock is going to pop. A lot of people out there do not even know this technology exists, which is mind-blowing to me. I think people have heard of Tesla. They kind of have an idea that Tesla can drive itself, but they're thinking that it's comparable to their lane assist that's inside of their Toyota or their Cadillac. And it's nothing like that. I mean, the car takes me from parking space to parking space. It handles stop signs, pedestrians. It handles neighborhood streets that are marked and that are not marked. It pulls over for emergency vehicles. It does all of this. And people really still don't know about it. Not just people who don't own Teslas, but people who do own Teslas still do not use the full self-driving technology. So let me run some numbers, and this should just seal the deal for everyone. Now, of all the cars on the road, there's 298 million cars on the road in the United States. 298 million. Of that 298 million vehicles that are registered to be on the road in the United States, the cars that actually have full self-driving, when you start thinking about the Teslas that actually have full self-driving on the road, not just all Teslas on the road, but Teslas who have full self-driving, there's only 650,000 cars that have full self-driving equipped on the car. 650,000 of 298 million cars on the road. That's 0.22 of all cars on the road that even is equipped with FSD. Now, stay with me on this one. Of that 0.22 that's equipped with FSD, only 0.03 actually use it. So what that means is people have Teslas and do not even use the full self-driving. The take rate of people that actually use full self-driving is between 15% and 19% of all Tesla owners that actually uses full self-driving all the time, supervised. That is a super small number. That's a tiny number. So if Tesla owners don't even use it, what do you think that those who don't even own a Tesla think about the full self-driving? A lot of people remember back in the days 2-3 years ago when I first started using full self-driving using version 11.54 or something like that. It had a lot of bugs. It made a lot of mistakes. And at times it did some things that just scared the hell out of me. Okay. But it has changed so much over such a short period of time. I now only use full self-driving. I will not drive my car without using full self-driving. I will just engage it by habit. And my stats it has me at around 95% usage of full self-driving. That's how much I use it. That's how much I trust it. And that's how good it is. It has changed tremendously and it's gotten so much better. And it would only just continue to get better. So I'm looking at the rate of speed that they're improving. I'm looking at how fast and often they put those updates out. Right now, we're on 14.3.1, and pretty soon we'll be on a later version where it's going to be able to do a lot more than what it's doing right now. It's going to continue to be safe, and it's going to continue to outperform in ways that people have no clue. So because it's early and a lot of people don't know what this can do, as robotaxi explodes and starts to drive people all over the place, people will get exposed to what the car can do and how good it is. And the biggest difference between a Waymo self-driving vehicle and a Tesla, after someone experience it in a robotaxi, is they can turn around and buy a Tesla. You cannot turn around and buy a Waymo, but you can buy a Tesla, which will drive up the Tesla sales. So it's just a lot about to happen. And I think right now, even though the price of the stock is $400 a share, it's still down 10% over the last 6 months. I think it's going to surpass its 52-week high. And before you know it, it will break that $500 mark and it will continue to just run past the $500 mark to the $600 mark. So I'm all in. I believe it's going to go far. Like I said, this is not financial advice. So you have to do your own research and do your own homework and make the decision on if investing in Tesla is the right move for you. And just for a little background on me, I used to be a financial services professional with my securities license. I'm not licensed now, but I still keep an eye on the market. And Tesla is a large percentage of my portfolio. So I believe it's just a good stock to be all in on. And this is why I'm all in on it, because it's time for it to move. It is time for Tesla to pop. All right, so now let's go into our next segment, which is couch time. And since I used to be a life coach many years ago, I used to coach my clients on a lot of different things, including the topic of today, which is where is your line? So you should just think about you as a person as to like what you stand for, your belief system, and where you draw your lines. You should have lines somewhere. If you don't have any lines and don't stand for anything, then people will just run right over you. So you should have some established rules and lines that kind of it's like a perimeter around you that everyone understands that they cannot cross that line, and that you do have a belief system that you stand for, and people should know what you stand for. So don't be afraid to draw a line and make sure everyone knows that this is something you cannot do, because if you go across that line, you cross me, I'm going to have to say something to you. Now, when you say something to someone, some people say it's not nice to call someone out and tell them about themselves, or if they offend you, you just laugh it off or ignore it and just, move away from them. I don't believe in that. I believe that you should call them out and you should let them know politely, not yelling at them or anything like that, but let them know, hey, what you did wasn't cool. That's not really okay with me. I prefer you don't do that. And look, if they don't respect that, then you have a choice. You don't have to be around them. Even if it's a family member, you can choose to be around them and allow them to go past your line, or you can choose to move on. So don't be afraid to cut someone out of your life, because if someone doesn't respect your no, they don't deserve your yes. If they can't respect where you draw your line, then they don't respect you. So why do you have them in your life, I would say? So don't be afraid to draw your line. And make sure where you draw your line is based on your belief system and what you stand for and your values, not based on other people's values, but your own values, what you can stand for. Okay, so now let's go into our final segment, which is Fatherless and Famous, one of my favorite segments where I get to celebrate someone who is either famous or maybe not so famous, someone who found a way to find success, even though they grew up in a household without a father figure. And that's what we're all about here, is celebrating success, even though you didn't have a father figure in the home. So let's reveal who's today's Fatherless and Famous is. That person is, drum roll please, Quentin Tarantino. Good guy. Quentin Tarantino, film director, and he makes great movies like Pulp Fiction, like Kill Bill, which is one of my favorites. The whole quick Kill Bill series, I actually just bought the whole series. And he's a really cool guy. Like, I actually met Quentin when I used to live in Los Angeles. I met him and he's a little quirky. It was around Valentine's Day. And he was telling me about a gift that he was thinking about getting someone that was in his life. And when he was telling me, he was just talking like a mile a minute. He was just talking real fast. And I was just like, oh, okay, Quinn, no problem, man. And I didn't know what to say because he was just like talking so fast. And, it's no wonder why his movies are the way they are because of how peculiar he is. But yeah, Quentin grew up without a father figure in his household. His father left him when before he was even born. His father's name was Tony Tarantino, and his mom's name was Connie McHugh. Now, Quentin was born in Knoxville, Tennessee, and his father wasn't in the picture at all. And when he was around 3 years old, his mom decided to move him to California. So they moved to LA, and then they ended up living in Torrance, California. So that's where Quentin grew up. Now, his mom was a nurse, and that's how she was able to provide for Quentin when he was a young boy. And Quentin released his really big break, which was Pulp Fiction back in 1990. And that movie kind of like made him a superstar. And 5 years after that movie came out, his dad tried to come into his life for the first time and try to like make a connection, 5 years later, back in 1995. And Quentin's attitude was like, hey, dude, you were gone for like 32 years. And now all of a sudden you want to pop in my life and play daddy. And nope, I'm not going for it. Don't want to have anything to do with you. And just did not go for it, did not allow him to re-enter. And I see this happen, quite often. Person like makes it big and all of a sudden the dad wants to come back into his life. And another good movie that I really like about Quentin that he made was Django. That was with Jamie Foxx. It was also a really good movie that's just a little quirky the way he writes and the way he does things in kind of reverse. So yeah, Quentin made a lot of money in Hollywood. He made movies. He was a writer, an actor. He did a lot of stuff, and he was able to build himself up as far as his network was concerned. So I like to talk about people's net worth, the ones that grow up and find success without a father figure in the household. And I won't make an exception here. Quentin Tarantino's net worth as of right now is $120 million. $120 million. That's a lot of zeros. Yeah, if he can do it, you guys, you can too. If you're growing up or if you have grown up in a fatherless household, you can still find success if you have the right connections. Keep looking at this channel. Go ahead and like and subscribe as well so that you can really focus on that building your empire segment, my first segment, so that you can build your own empire and get things started as well. Go ahead and leave your comments if you have any, and I really appreciate you for spending a little time with me. And until next time, I will see you all later.